The phone rang just as Daniel was tightening the final screw on the cracked tablet screen. He flinched, not because the sound startled him, but because it meant something else had gone wrong. He glanced toward the bedroom door. It was half open, a thin yellow line of light spilling into the living room. His daughter's voice floated out softly, reading to herself, stumbling over long words, trying not to call him for help. She always tried not to. Daniel wiped his hands on his jeans and picked up the phone. "Hello?" A woman's voice answered, calm, clipped, professional. "Is this Daniel Okoye, freelance computer technician?" "Yes. Yes, it is." "I need you to come downtown. Immediately. Emergency data recovery, corporate system failure, 10:47 p.m. "That's pretty late," he said carefully. There was a pause. Then, "We'll pay double your standard rate." Daniel closed his eyes. He didn't need to ask who he was. Only one company in the city called technicians at this hour and paid like that. Everyone knew the building. Everyone knew the woman who ran it. He swallowed. I'll need to arrange. Transportation will be provided. Confidentiality is required. If you agree, a car will be outside your building in 15 minutes. The line went dead. Welcome back to Storyverse Vault, my beautiful, amazing Story Vault family. You all have been so supportive, and I promise to always try my best to give you the best stories, as I learn and improve every day. If this is your first time coming across my video, do comment below where you are watching from and hit subscribe to officially join the Story Vault family. Now let's get into today's story. Daniel stared at the phone in his hand. Behind him, the bedroom door creaked open. "Daddy?" his daughter whispered. "Did it work?" He turned and smiled, forcing warmth into his voice. "Yeah, tablet's good as new." She hugged it to her chest like treasure. "Thank you." He knelt in front of her, brushing her hair back gently. "I have to step out for a bit. Mrs. Hanley from downstairs will stay with you." Her face fell just slightly. "Is it another night job?" "For a little while," he said. "I'll be back before you wake up." She nodded, brave again. She always nodded. As he stood, his phone vibrated once more. Unknown number. Car has arrived. Daniel grabbed his jacket. The city looked different at night. Glass towers glowed like silent witnesses, watching everything, judging quietly. The black sedan slid through traffic smoothly, untouched by potholes or impatience. Daniel sat stiffly in the back seat, hands clasped, eyes forward. "You ever been there before?" the driver asked casually. Daniel shook his head. "No." The driver chuckled. "Most people haven't. Not this late." They pulled up to the tallest building on the avenue. All steel and glass, no signboard needed. Power radiated from it. Security waved them through without a word. Daniel stepped into the lobby and immediately felt small. Marble floors, endless ceilings, silence so clean it felt expensive. An elevator door slid open. "Top floor," the driver said. The doors closed. The ascent felt endless. When they opened again, the hallway was dim, lit only by recessed lights. At the far end stood a woman, tall, still, waiting. Daniel recognized her instantly. Elena Cross, CEO, media favorite, ruthless negotiator, self-made billionaire before 40. She wore a tailored dark suit, heels clicking softly as she approached. Her expression was unreadable. "You're the technician?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am." She turned without another word. "Follow me." Her office was vast but cold. Glass walls, minimalist furniture, no personal touches. A single desk dominated the space, illuminated by a large monitor frozen on a system error screen. "You said emergency," Daniel said quietly. "It is." She gestured to the computer. "Everything is locked. Backup failed. Board meeting in 6 hours." Daniel nodded, already pulling his laptop from his bag. I'll need access credentials. She entered them herself. I don't like people touching my keyboard. He noticed that her hands trembled, just slightly. As he worked, silence stretched between them. Only the soft tapping of keys filled the room. Minutes passed. Then more. Daniel frowned. This corruption goes deep, he said. Some files didn't save properly. I can try a recovery sweep, but do it, she said sharply. Whatever it takes. He initiated the process. The screen flickered. Folders appeared one by one. Then, without warning, one opened. Daniel froze. It wasn't labeled anything technical. No dates, no project codes. Just a name. Elena. Inside were photos. Not the kind the tabloids ran. Not polished or staged. These were raw. Elena sitting on the edge of her bed. Makeup gone. Eyes tired. Elena in a hoodie, staring at her phone. Elena at night, city lights behind her, tears caught mid-fall. Daniel's breath caught. He reached for the mouse immediately. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean... Stop. Her voice wasn't angry. It was fragile. He turned slowly. She stood behind him now, close enough that he could feel the tension rolling off her. Her reflection stared back at her from the dark screen. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she asked quietly, Be honest. He looked up, unsure if he'd heard correctly. She met his eyes for the first time. Am I pretty? The room felt like it shrank. Daniel stood, heart pounding. He should leave, apologize, pretend this never happened. But her eyes didn't look like a trap. They looked like someone standing at the edge of something dangerous. He stopped himself. Do you want the truth? She nodded once. He took a breath. You look human. Her lips parted slightly. You don't look perfect, he continued. You look real. And that's not something most people get to see. Silence. Her shoulders sagged. For the first time since he arrived, Elena Cross sat down. She pressed her fingers to her temples. No one ever answers like that. Daniel shifted uncomfortably. I didn't mean to overstep. She shook her head. No, you didn't. She looked at the photos still open on the screen. They weren't meant for anyone. Just reminders that I exist outside of boardrooms. Daniel said nothing. She laughed softly, bitterly. Isn't it strange? The higher you climb, the lonelier it gets. Before he could respond, the system beeped. Recovery in progress. 62%. Daniel exhaled slowly. The files might be saved, he said, but it'll take time. She stood again, regaining some composure. Then stay. He hesitated. She added softer. Please. Daniel nodded. Outside, thunder rumbled faintly. The night wasn't over. The screen ticked up to 78%. Daniel had no idea that by the time it hit 100, nothing between them would be the same. Elena stared at the screen. If this fails, she said quietly, everything I built disappears. Daniel swallowed. Then I won't let it fail. The progress bar flickered, 78%. Then it froze. Daniel stared at the screen like he could will it forward. His fingers hovered above the keyboard, not touching, barely breathing. One wrong move now could wipe everything permanently. Behind him, Elena Cross stood very still. Her reflection in the glass wall looked composed. Perfect posture, chin raised, but her hands betrayed her. One clenched into the other so tightly her knuckles had gone pale. If this fails, she said quietly, my board will replace me by morning. Daniel turned halfway toward her. There are backups, he said. Off-site archives, redundancies. They're encrypted, she cut in. And I'm locked out. That made him pause. You're locked out of your own system? She gave a short laugh. Power has a way of being conditional. The progress bar pulsed once, then again. 79%. Daniel exhaled. I need to reroute the recovery through a manual override, he said. It's risky. How risky? If it crashes, there's no second attempt. She stepped closer. And if you don't? It'll time out. Same result. Just slower. She studied him for a moment, then nodded. Do it. Daniel adjusted his chair, cracked his knuckles, and began typing commands that hadn't been updated in years. Lines of code scrolled down the screen like a foreign language. Elena watched him, her eyes following his hands. You're calm, she said. I'm not, he replied without looking up. I'm just used to pressure. From this kind of work? No, he said. From knowing if I mess up, someone I love pays for it. That got her attention. She leaned against the desk. You have a family. A daughter. How old? 8? Elena nodded slowly. My parents worked all the time, too, she said, but they always said it was for me. Daniel smiled faintly. Did it feel that way? She didn't answer right away. No, she said finally. It felt like I was something waiting at home. The progress bar jumped, 83%. Thunder rolled again, closer this time. Rain streaked down the glass walls, blurring the city lights below. The storm outside mirrored something shifting inside the room. Daniel stopped typing suddenly. Elena stiffened. What is it? There's a corrupted cluster, he said. Someone tried to access these files earlier. Her jaw tightened. When? Recently, within the last 12 hours. She looked away. That would be the board. Daniel hesitated. They were digging through your personal folders. Yes, she said flatly. They call it due diligence. Daniel's voice hardened. That's not due diligence. That's invasion. She looked at him sharply. No one ever spoke to her like that. They don't trust me, she said. They never did. Then why are you still here? He asked before he could stop himself. She frowned. What do you mean? Why keep proving yourself to people who already decided you're replaceable? Silence stretched. Then she laughed, short, humorless. You say that like walking away is easy. Daniel finally looked at her fully. I know it's not. Their eyes locked. 86%. Elena broke the gaze first. You're different, she said. Daniel shook his head. No. I'm just not impressed. That made her smile despite herself. The system chimed softly. Recovery stable. Continuing. Daniel leaned back slightly, relief washing over his face. We're past the worst part. Elena let out a breath she'd been holding for hours. Thank you, she said. Whatever happens. Thank you. He nodded. For a moment there was nothing between them but the quiet hum of machines and rain. Then she spoke again, softer. Those photos, she said. I didn't plan to show anyone. I know. I take them on nights I can't sleep, she continued, just to prove I was awake, alive. Daniel listened, saying nothing. I've dated powerful men, she said, brilliant men, but they only ever saw the version of me that wins. She looked at him. You saw the one that doesn't. He swallowed. That wasn't my intention. I know, she said. That's why it matters. The progress bar ticked upward, 91%. Elena glanced at the clock on the wall. Do you want coffee? She asked suddenly. Daniel blinked. Coffee? There's a machine in the break room. It's surprisingly normal. He hesitated. I should stay close to the system. It's stable now, she said. And I'd like to talk somewhere that doesn't feel like a glass cage. He considered for a moment, then nodded. 5 minutes. The break room was smaller, warmer, soft lighting, a couch that had clearly never been used. Elena handled the coffee machine like someone encountering a foreign object. You don't come here often, Daniel observed. She smiled faintly. I don't stop often. She handed him a mug. Careful, she said. It's strong. Everything here seems to be, he replied. She laughed, genuine this time. They sat across from each other. "You never told me your name," she said. "Daniel. Daniel," she repeated, testing it. "You speak to me like I'm normal." "You are," he said. "You just have more glass around you." Her smile faded, replaced by something more thoughtful. "Do you know," she said slowly, "that no one has ever asked me if I was okay in this building?" Daniel frowned. "Not once. Not once." He looked at her. Really looked at her. "Are you okay?" he asked. Her eyes glistened. She looked down at her coffee. "I don't know," she said. "I don't remember the last time I checked." A sharp beep echoed from the office. Both of them stood immediately. They hurried back. The screen flashed green. Recovery complete. 100%. Daniel let out a breath and slumped back into the chair. "It's done," he said. "Everything's restored." Elena stared at the screen, then at him. For a second, she looked like she might cry again. Instead, she straightened. "Come with me," she said. "To where?" "My desk." She opened a drawer and pulled out a checkbook. Daniel raised a hand. "Miss Cross." She paused. "Elena," she corrected. "Please." She wrote quickly, tore the check free, and handed it to him. Daniel glanced at the number and froze. "This is too much," he said immediately. "It's fair," she replied. "No," he said firmly. "It's not." She stared at him. "You fixed my entire company." "I fixed a computer," he said. "I didn't sell my integrity with it." Her expression shifted, surprise, then something like respect. "You could really use the money," she said gently. "Yes," he admitted. "But I don't want it to mean something it doesn't." She studied him, then slowly tore the check in half. "Then I owe you another way," she said. Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen. Her face hardened. "The board," she said. She answered. "Yes," she said coolly. "The system is restored." Pause. "No, I handled it." Another pause. Her eyes flicked to Daniel. "No," she said sharply. "He's not a risk." Silence stretched. Then she said quietly, "If you don't trust my judgment, you shouldn't have put me here." She ended the call and exhaled slowly. "They know," she said. "About you." Daniel stiffened. "Then I should go." "Not yet," she said. "They'll try to twist this." He nodded. "I don't want trouble." "I know," she said softly. "But trouble seems to have found us anyway." They stood there, facing each other, aware that something fragile and dangerous had begun. Elena's assistant burst into the office without knocking. "They're on their way up," she said urgently. "Right now." Daniel looked at Elena and realized this was no longer just about a computer. "They're on their way up." The words landed like a verdict. Daniel felt his chest tighten as Elena's assistant stood frozen near the doorway, breath uneven, eyes darting between them. "How many?" Elena asked calmly. "All of them," the assistant replied. "3 board members. Legal is with them." Daniel took a step back instinctively. "I shouldn't be here," he said. "This is already crossing lines." Elena turned to him. "Leaving now would make it worse." He frowned. "How?" "They'll say you ran because you had something to hide." Daniel's jaw clenched. "I fixed your system. That's it." "And I believe you," she said. "But they don't need truth. They need leverage." The elevator chime echoed faintly from down the hall. Elena straightened her jacket, slipping back into the armor the world expected from her. "Daniel," she said quietly, "I need you to trust me for 5 more minutes." He hesitated, then nodded. The boardroom doors opened with surgical precision. 3 men and 1 woman entered, all dressed in muted authority. Their expressions were polite, but sharp. "Elena," the woman said smoothly, We were worried when the system went dark. It's restored, Elena replied, as I informed you. One of the men glanced at Daniel. And this is my technician, Elena said. Daniel Okoye. The man smiled thinly. Still here? Daniel met his gaze evenly. I'm finishing documentation. That won't be necessary, another board member said. Legal will handle the rest. Elena's voice hardened. No, he will finish. A brief pause. Then the woman stepped forward. Miss Cross, with respect, your judgment tonight has been questionable. Elena crossed her arms. My judgment saved the company. Yes, the woman said. But at what cost? She slid a tablet across the desk. Daniel recognized the screen instantly. One of the photos. Not the worst, but personal enough. Elena's breath caught. You accessed my private folder, she said slowly. We ensured there were no liabilities, the woman replied, and we found cause for concern. Daniel stepped forward. That folder has nothing to do with company operations. The men turned to him. And you would know? One asked. Yes, Daniel said, because I saw it by accident, and stopped. The room went silent. Elena turned to him sharply. Daniel. I'm not ashamed of it, he said calmly. You want the truth? She didn't ask me to look. She didn't hide anything illegal. The only thing exposed was her humanity. One of the men scoffed. This is highly inappropriate. No, Daniel replied. What's inappropriate is treating vulnerability like weakness. Elena stared at him, stunned. No one had ever defended her like this. The woman's smile disappeared. This conversation is over. She turned to Elena. We'll be convening an emergency vote in the morning. Elena nodded slowly. I expected that. The board exited without another word. When the doors closed, the silence was deafening. Elena exhaled shakily. You shouldn't have said that, she said. Daniel looked at her. I meant every word. She turned away, pressing her palms against the glass wall. They'll come for you now, she said. They'll dig into your life, your finances, your family. Daniel's stomach dropped. My daughter. I know, Elena said softly. I'm so sorry. He ran a hand through his hair. This is exactly why I avoid people like you. She turned back, hurt flickering across her face. People like me? People with power, he clarified. Everything around you burns. She flinched. You think I don't know that? She said. I wake up every day knowing my success costs someone something. He softened slightly. I didn't mean, I know what you meant, she said, and you're not wrong. They stood there, two people on opposite sides of the same fire. I should go, Daniel said finally. Elena nodded. I won't stop you. He picked up his bag, hesitated. For what it's worth, he said, you are more than what they see. Her voice trembled. So are you. He turned and walked out. The rain had stopped by the time Daniel reached home, but his thoughts hadn't. He found his daughter asleep on the couch, tablet clutched to her chest. Mrs. Hanley smiled softly and whispered, She waited for you. Daniel carried her to bed, heart heavy. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. Daniel, Elena's voice came through. They're already moving. His pulse spiked. What do you mean? They pulled your records. You have outstanding medical debt. He closed his eyes. My wife. I know, she said gently. They'll use it to paint you as desperate. And you? He asked. They're questioning my leadership, she replied. Tomorrow decides everything. Silence stretched between them. You don't owe me anything, Daniel said. I know, she replied. That's why I'm calling. He sighed. This isn't your fight. It became my fight when they tried to strip my humanity, she said. And yours. Another pause. "Daniel," she said softly, "if I lose tomorrow, I want you to know that tonight mattered." He swallowed. It did. They hung up. The next morning came too fast. News broke before breakfast. Tech CEO faces internal review after data breach. Daniel watched the headline scroll across the TV, his daughter eating cereal beside him. "Daddy," she said, "is that the lady whose computer you fixed?" He froze. "Yes," he said slowly. "She looks sad," his daughter said. "Did you help her?" Daniel smiled faintly. "I tried." His phone buzzed again. This time, it was Elena. "They want me to resign," she said, quietly. "And will you?" "No," she said. "I'm done being quiet." He leaned against the counter. "What happens now?" "I fight," she said, "and I tell the truth." Daniel's heart pounded. "That'll destroy them." "It might destroy me, too," she said, "but I won't lose myself." A beat. "I could use someone honest in the room," she added. Daniel hesitated. "This could cost me everything," he said. "It already has," she replied softly. "The question is, will you let it mean something?" He looked at his daughter, then at the screen. "I'll be there," he said. If you enjoyed the story to this moment, hit subscribe button to officially join the Story Vault family. Daniel arrived at the building just as the press gathered. Cameras flashed, whispers followed him. Inside the boardroom, Elena stood at the head of the table, steady, resolute. When she saw Daniel enter, something in her eyes eased. The meeting began. Truths surfaced. Lines were crossed. And for the first time, power didn't control the room. Honesty did. But just as Elena finished speaking, the lead board member leaned forward. "There is one final matter," he said. "Your technician." Daniel stiffened. "We found evidence," the man continued, "that his presence last night compromised corporate ethics." Elena's jaw tightened. "If you proceed," she said coldly, "you expose yourselves." The man smiled. "Or we expose him." Daniel realized then. This fight was no longer about her. It was about who would be sacrificed. The board member slid a document across the table toward Daniel. "Sign this," he said, "and walk away clean." Daniel looked at Elena and knew whatever choice he made would change both their lives forever. The document lay between them like a loaded weapon. Daniel stared at the signature line, the words blurring slightly as his pulse thudded in his ears. The board member's pen rested beside it, waiting. "Sign," the man said calmly. "You walk away untouched. No debt review, no investigation, no media." Daniel didn't reach for the pen. He looked at Elena instead. She stood at the head of the table, hands braced against the polished wood, shoulders squared. But her eyes told a different story. They weren't asking him to save her company. They were asking him to save himself. "This agreement," Daniel said slowly, "says I accessed confidential data without authorization." "That's the narrative," the board member replied. "Clean, efficient." "And false," Daniel said. "Truth is flexible," the man said. "Consequences aren't." Elena pushed away from the table. "If you do this," she said, her voice sharp, "you confirm everything I've been saying about you." The woman from the board tilted her head. "You'd risk your company for a technician?" Elena didn't hesitate. "I'd risk it for the truth." The room fell silent. Daniel felt the weight of the moment settle deep in his chest. He thought of his daughter, of the quiet nights, of the tablet fixed with borrowed tools, of a woman who asked a question no one else ever dared to ask. He slid the document back across the table. "I'm not signing," he said. The board member's smile vanished. "You understand what this means?" the man said. "Yes," Daniel replied. "It means I don't disappear." Elena exhaled, a mixture of relief and fear washing over her face. "Then we proceed," the man said coldly. Elena straightened fully now. "Good," she said, "because I already have." She tapped a remote on the table. The screen behind her lit up. Email chains, timestamps, encrypted access logs. "While you were investigating him," Elena continued, "I investigated you." Murmurs rippled around the table. "You accessed my personal files without authorization," she said. "You violated privacy laws in 3 jurisdictions." The woman stood abruptly. "You can't prove intent." "I don't need to," Elena replied. "Only pattern." She clicked again. A final file appeared. Recorded call. Board strategy session. Confidential. The room went dead quiet. Daniel's breath caught. "You were planning my removal weeks before the outage," Elena said. "The breach was convenient, the technician was useful." The lead board member stood slowly. "You're threatening us." "No," Elena said. "I'm telling you you've lost." Security entered the room moments later. The board members were escorted out, faces pale, authority evaporating with every step. When the doors closed, Elena sagged slightly. It was over. Daniel approached her cautiously. "You didn't have to do that," he said. She looked at him. "Yes," she said. "I did." They stood alone in the room where everything had begun. "I don't know what happens next," Daniel said. Elena nodded. "I'll be stepping down. Voluntarily, the company needs stability." He frowned. "After all that?" "Power shouldn't cost your soul," she said. "I learned that last night." She walked to the window, looking out over the city. "For the first time," she said softly, "I'm choosing myself." Daniel felt something loosen inside his chest. "I should go," he said. "My daughter's waiting." She turned back. "Daniel, before you go." She hesitated. "Do you remember what I asked you?" she said. He nodded. "I do." She swallowed. "That wasn't really the question." He waited. "What I meant," she continued, voice barely above a whisper, "was whether I was worth seeing, without the title." Daniel stepped closer, careful, respectful. "You are," he said simply. "You always were." Tears slipped down her cheeks. She laughed softly through them. "No one's ever answered me like that." Weeks passed. Life didn't transform overnight, but it shifted. Daniel found steady work, quiet referrals, honest clients. His debts didn't vanish, but the weight lifted. Elena disappeared from headlines. Then one afternoon, Daniel's daughter came home excited. "Daddy," she said, "my school got new computers." Daniel froze. "What?" "They said someone donated them," she said. "A lady came and talked to the teachers. She smiled a lot." Daniel smiled too. That evening his phone buzzed. "Elena, I hope that's okay," he replied. "Daniel, she'll never forget it." A pause. Then another message. "Elena, would you like coffee? Somewhere without glass walls." He looked at his daughter, laughing at the table, then typed back, "Daniel, I'd like that." They met at a small cafe weeks later. No cameras, no suits, just 2 people. Elena wore jeans and a sweater, her hair loose, no armor. "You look different," Daniel said. "So do you," she replied. They talked, not about companies or crises, about life, loss, what comes after survival. As they stood to leave, Elena hesitated. "I'm still figuring things out," she said. "So am I," Daniel replied. She smiled. That was enough. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. That night, Elena stood alone on her balcony, city lights below. She lifted her phone, not to take a photo, but to call someone who saw her, and this time, she didn't ask the question. She already knew the answer. Which moment changed everything for you?